Hey guys, thanks again for joining us. If you like what we do and you watch our videos often, please make sure to hit like and subscribe and the notification bell. That way you stay up to date on everything we're doing here on YouTube.
And we want to say a huge thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Every single dollar that gets donated on Patreon, as well as every single dollar we earn on Etsy, goes directly towards our Animal Rescue Fund, supporting Tony. Tony? Oh, my boy.
Did you hear
Tony
that?
knows his name. Hi.
Listen.
Tony is our rescue rooster, and he is supported by generous donations like the ones you guys have made to the channel. And if you're not a Patreon member, if you've never bought anything on Etsy but you like the channel, this channel gives you value, you agree with what we have to say, you severely disagree with what we have to say, whatever the case may be, if you'd like to make a donation, the Patreon link is down below. So, it has been over 2 years since we last responded to hate comments. Find that video linked below. So we thought another response video was overdue.
Unfortunately, we don't have anything groundbreaking to bring to you guys. No life-changing comments, no mind-blowing debunks of veganism that have led us back astray to carnism. Having done this for more than 6 years, it's honestly boring and disappointing how predictable a lot of these comments are. But we thought we'd revisit this topic because veganism is more normalized now, more than it ever has been in the past. More than it was 6 years ago when we started our channel, and more people are going vegan every day. And maybe you're coming across these kinds of comments for the first time.
Largely, anti-vegan comments fall into just a few categories. The first is attacks on physical appearance, which actually has a name in formal debate called an ad hominem. This is the absolute bottom of the barrel, lowest form of criticism because it does nothing to address the topic at hand. Veganism is about the ethics of needlessly killing animals for taste pleasure, and when discussed in good faith and in depth, one realizes that it's a much more intelligent and revealing conversation about societal norms, tradition, culture, and morality, which takes a certain level of effort. And yet, we read endless comments like these.
Is meth vegan? Because this wonderful couple is filled to the brim. They look like they are dying.
Oh, it's an interesting spelling of the word dying. Often trolley comments go hand in hand with improper spelling. This woman aged so much in 5 years, she looks 15 years older than first videos. Wow.
Only a beta male could live with her. Look how sick they both look.
The man looks sick, like he needs some meat.
Hold up. Some anemic guy that looks like he's dying of every disease under the sun is about to tell us some straight out facts.
Nice.
You can see how all of these are just insulting our looks, which, as we've said countless times, your opinion of the way we look has nothing to do with the ethics of veganism.
Just replace the victim and it becomes crystal clear, like with this one here. This feminist woman has aged so much in 5 years, the implication being that feminism is debunked based on the physical appearance of a single feminist.
This anti-racist is a beta male. The implication being that being anti-racist is bad because you perceive a single anti-racist to be beta, whatever that means.
This anti-child abuser looks sick, like he needs to abuse children. The implication being that child abuse is acceptable because of his looks.
And sadly, we think that part of the reason that people resort to this kind of attack is because they believe that these comments will hurt our feelings. Why? Most likely because these comments might hurt their feelings. And what that says to us is that people are projecting an insecurity about their own self-image.
And what they might not realize is that others don't feel the same way. When you're confident about yourself, about who you are, about what you stand for, and about who you are fighting for, these kinds of comments don't mean anything.
Especially from people you don't even know. And sometimes these attacks on physical appearance are couched in a "I'm trying to help you" way. My God, you look awful, especially Anna. Please reconsider your diet. Anyone can tell you're lacking in many nutrients. I understand the ethics of veganism, but your own health must come first.
Anyone can tell you're lacking.
Note that this person doesn't say which nutrients I am lacking. A big theme of anti-vegan comments, by the way, the absence of counterpoints and or information. Anyone can tell you're lacking in many nutrients. Anyone can tell? Have you seen my lab work? Do you know my weight, my height, my BMI, my age, my family history? What's my resting heart rate? How much can I deadlift? You're looking at two people sitting at a table, cropped from the chest up in a YouTube video. What can possibly be medically diagnosed from this? Over the internet. Not even doctors can do this.
Yeah, that's a big one. I can just tell you're low in iron.
I know.
What? This leads us to the next category of anti-vegan comments, those with refutations but no evidence or data or supporting literature, etc. Lol, that chart is complete BS. Regardless, I would love for all vegans to eat livestock feed literally on a farm and not fancy human vegan food. See how wrong your argument is. So there you go. That chart is complete BS and no data backing this refutation. Just nuh-uh, I think, is the totality of this argument. This is similar to an appeal to ridicule, as in, you're so wrong it's hilarious, but providing no reason as to why we are wrong.
We see this a lot. We'll provide information backed by data and people will just say, no, and then move on to another topic where they feel more qualified. Like in the same comment, how they say, regardless, I would love for all vegans to eat livestock feed literally on a farm and not fancy human vegan food.
Yeah, I think that's what we call a false dichotomy. They're saying that we either need to A, eat animals, or B, eat the plants that were grown to feed the animals.
Why would we need to eat livestock feed? Why wouldn't we just use the land to grow fancy human vegan food, which I'm not sure what that is. Are potatoes fancy?
Very fancy.
How about rice, beans, lentils, leafy green vegetables, fruit?
I also love the regardless. Like, I know my argument is horrible, but regardless, let's just talk about something else.
Next up, we have the supposed ex-vegan comments. Those left by people who claimed to have been vegan but stopped, and they're just trying to help. Your supplemented and deficient diet causes a plethora of health problems and mental illness, and I know this because I lived it for years. It's not sustainable, practical, or sufficient to human nutritional needs. If it was, you wouldn't need supplements.
So they ate a deficient diet for years? Why did you do that?
It's not sustainable, practical, or sufficient to human nutritional needs. If it was, you wouldn't need supplements. Citation needed. Do you have evidence for your claim? Because we have evidence for ours. And by the way, Brian is so tired of quoting this same thing.
I love it. I love talking about, all the time talking about the peer-reviewed statement from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is not a vegan organization. It's not vegan. And they confirmed that a well-planned vegan diet, they use the word vegan even though diets aren't really vegan, they're plant-based, but regardless, a well-planned, all plant-based diet is perfectly suitable for babies, for teenagers, for adults, for the elderly, for pregnant mothers, for athletes. You can eat nothing but plants as long as your diet is well planned. And that goes for any diet. Don't just put things in your face and assume you're getting everything you need. You have to plan your diet for health.
Endless non-vegan organizations have confirmed that well-planned plant-based diets are perfectly healthy. And yet, we continue to hear anecdotal nonsense about how humans need something that's in animal products. But we're never quite sure what that is because no one ever bothers to clarify. Is it iron, calcium, protein? What? Also, what was your plant-based diet like? What is our plant-based diet like? What is Patrick Baboumian's plant-based diet like? How about Rich Roll's plant-based diet?
Yeah, and what are human nutritional needs? Like, do I have the same nutritional needs as a 6-year-old or an 80-year-old? Because we're both human, after all. And the line about supplements is always hilarious because the supplement industry depends on non-vegans buying supplements.
Yeah.
The supplement industry would go bankrupt tomorrow if only vegans bought supplements.
supplements aren't necessarily always in pill form. Your orange juice is supplemented with vitamin D. Your cereal is supplemented with B12.
Yeah, and also cow breast milk is supplemented with vitamin D. It's actually required by law, I think, in Canada that all dairy products get vitamin D supplements because they live in the north where they get less sun exposure than people near the equator. And there's also the entire category of people trying to debunk veganism with logically fallacious argumentation. This is where we get like crop deaths though, and ancestors though, and animals in nature though, lions though, desert island though, humans are omnivores though, etc., 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 that we have discussed for literally years.
Animals eat other animals.
Debunked! Debunked.
This happens millions of times a day all over the world. We are animals, and I think the issue is to stop supporting factory farming cruelty, where animals are slapped on a conveyor belt, treated like crap before and after death, chickens stuck in cages and force-fed. This way of life needs to stop. I agree there. However, we are meant to eat an omnivore diet. History tells us that. Common sense tells us that. It is impossible to get all our vital nutrients from plants.
So many those and no data.
Zero data. What we would call opinion. Let's dissect this a bit. Animals eat other animals. We are meant to eat an omnivore diet. History tells us that. Common sense tells us that. Animals eat other animals seems to be their way of justifying that because some non-human animals eat other animals, that it's okay for human animals to eat animals. This statement ignores so many things, including the fact that we have the choice not to. We have moral agency.
History tells us that, aka that's just ancestors though, or tradition though. That also ignores the fact that the majority of the world's population does not live the way our ancestors did. Our landscape has changed, our food options and accessibility have changed, our technology has changed, our medical knowledge has changed, our methods of transportation have changed, our laws have changed.
Yeah, once upon a time, women weren't allowed to vote. So they shouldn't be allowed to vote now, right? Because history tells us this. That's like saying gay people aren't allowed to get married because history tells us this. A person's skin tone determines their rights. History tells us this. Just because history tells us something doesn't mean that it is justified to continue.
And what about common sense tells us that? Common sense is ever evolving. It was once common sense that the Earth was the center of the solar system. Look, the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. The sun goes around the Earth. It's common sense. If someone had scarlet fever back in the day, the disease is in the blood, so use bloodletting. It's common sense. Just bleed them out. So the common sense statement doesn't really mean anything.
Now, let's look at the rest of it, this phrase in particular. The issue is to stop factory farming. Why? Well, it seems that this person cares about animal suffering before and after death.
After death.
But okay, yet they also ignore the fact that over 90% of all animal products sold in stores and at restaurants come from factory farming. And let's not forget, at the very basic level, no animal wants to die. Every living being fights for survival. Taking an animal's life just because you want to eat their flesh or their milk or their eggs is simply unethical. How you kill an animal is not the only issue here. It's killing the animal, period. Stealing their life away from them. That is the issue.
Squirrels, birds, mice, rats, rabbits, bees, countless other species are shot, gassed, drowned, crushed, shredded, poisoned by vegans to get their totally nutrient deficient diet. Whew. Vegans also think having a load of Roundup in their urine is okay. The dude looks like he's ready to fall asleep any second and is iron deficient.
Oh, he knows.
He knows. Probably B12 also, yeah. And the lady looks malburnished. The lady looks malburnished and weak. Can see her breaking some bones pretty easily.
Fun fact, I have never broken a bone in my life.
Yeah.
Fun fact. And I did cheerleading in high school, so many things in that one. So much packed in there.
Yeah.
Generalizations. Vegans also think like all vegans?
Vegans all think the same.
This is a combo of almost everything we've discussed so far. Beautifully blending crop deaths, though, with medical diagnoses via watching a YouTube video and a delicious soupçon of ad hominem. Yes, animals die in crop production. Even more animals die per calorie in animal farming. Here is the data. And if you plan on claiming the chart is BS, like someone else above, please provide evidence. Veganism kills so many animals, yet you hate on vegetarians.
Owned, vegan owned. Now we assume they mean plant-based diets kill animals, not veganism kills animals. And again, yes, crop harvesting will cause harm. Driving an automobile might cause harm. Running through a field might cause harm. Breathing might cause harm. This is what we call an appeal to futility. It is futile to try to cause zero harm. So why even try? We might as well needlessly kill as many animals as we want because we can't avoid all animal deaths.
Which makes sense. We can't possibly prevent all murders, so we might as well murder as many people as we want.
Makes sense.
We can't prevent all theft, so we might as well steal as much as we want.
Makes sense.
And again, let's bring up that handy BS chart, evidence pending, about crop deaths, and check out eggs and dairy. Oh.
Seems like one category causes more crop deaths than another. Speaking of dairy, sometimes we get genuine questions in our comments about the things we say, which is nice, like this one. I was really intrigued until I heard him say, "Why does a cow need to die for us to have their breast milk? Please tell me, how does a cow die from giving us milk?" Okay, let's start at the beginning. Why does a cow, or any mammal for that matter, make milk? Many people actually don't know this, but cows make milk as a result of a pregnancy because they are mothers. When a cow gives birth to a baby in the dairy industry, it is standard industry practice to steal that baby from the mother before he or she starts eating into the profits, aka the milk.
If the calf is male, he is generally killed for veal, and if the calf is female, she is enslaved, like her mother, for her future reproductive abilities. A cow's gestation period lasts about 9 months, same as a human. And a cow will be impregnated between 4 to 5 times over 4 to 5 years, so about once per year, until she is too weak to produce more milk or have more babies, at which point she is sent to slaughter to be turned into hamburgers. And we have seen this firsthand.
Now, granted, per the phrasing of the comment, how does a cow die from giving us milk? Now, the giving of milk may not technically cause death, but being enslaved in the dairy industry, which is where milk is taken, not given, that will always result in the death of a cow. If you see black and white cows headed for slaughter, those are dairy cows.
Holstein.
Those are female cows who have been taken advantage of and exploited for their reproductive abilities.
Sometimes males too. They are used for their semen.
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to make more cows. So you need a couple males. Mostly you need females. Then sometimes you just get the WTF comments. Vegans kill babies.
What?
What?